The blood on Margaret's lip tasted metallic and bitter, but not nearly as bitter as the laughter echoing through the hospital parking garage. 3 teenagers stood over her, their shadows stretching long under the flickering fluorescent lights, while she lay sprawled beside her overturned wheelchair, the same wheelchair she'd been using for the past 2 years since the accident that had stolen her ability to walk but never her determination to heal others. "Look at the crippled lady," one of them sneered, his voice cracking with adolescent cruelty. "Bet she can't even chase us now." Margaret Thomas had been a nurse for 23 years. She'd held the hands of dying patients, comforted grieving families, and worked 18-hour shifts during the pandemic when heroes were measured not in capes but in scrubs. At 52, with graying hair pulled back in a practical bun and laugh lines etched deep around her eyes, she had dedicated her life to caring for others. But lying there on the cold concrete, her nurse's bag scattered, medications rolling across the garage floor, she felt something she rarely allowed herself to feel: helpless. The attack had been sudden and senseless. She'd been loading her supplies into her car after her night shift at Children's Memorial Hospital when the 3 boys, probably no older than 16, had approached asking for money. When she gently explained she only had her credit cards, they'd grown aggressive. One had shoved her wheelchair, sending her tumbling to the ground, while another had grabbed her purse. "Please," Margaret said, trying to push herself up on her elbows. "I'm a nurse. I help people." "Help people?" The tallest boy, wearing a torn hoodie and anger in his eyes, kicked at her medical bag. "Lady, nobody helped us when we needed it." Margaret's heart clenched, not from the pain in her ribs where she'd hit the ground, but from the raw hurt in the boy's voice. Even through her fear, her nurse's instincts kicked in. She recognized that Tonya, it was the same one she heard from patients who'd been abandoned, neglected, forgotten by a system that should have protected them. "What's your name?" she asked softly, ignoring the throb in her shoulder. The question caught him off guard. "What?" "Your name." "I'm Margaret. I work in pediatric oncology upstairs. I take care of sick children." Something flickered across his fascia: confusion, maybe even shame. His 2 friends were still laughing, still making jokes about the broken nurse, but he had gone quiet. "Marcus," he said after a moment, so quietly she almost missed it. "Marcus," Margaret repeated, managing to sit up despite the shooting pain in her back. "How old are you?" "Honey, don't call me that." The anger flared again, but there was something desperate underneath it now. "I ain't your honey. You don't know nothing about me." "You're right," Margaret said, her voice gentle but steady. "I don't know your story, but I know hurt when I see it. And you're hurting, aren't you?" Marcus's friends had stopped laughing. They were looking between Margaret and Marcus with uncertainty, as if this wasn't going according to their plan. One of them, a thin boy with haunted eyes, kept glancing toward the exit. "Shut up," Marcus said, but his voice had lost its edge. "You don't know nothing." Margaret noticed the way he held his left arm, the careful way he moved. As a pediatric nurse, she'd seen thousands of children, and her trained eye caught what others might miss: the signs of someone who'd been hurt before, who'd learned to expect pain instead of kindness. "I know you're scared," she said. "I know someone hurt you, and now you think hurting others will make the pain go away, but it won't, sweetheart. It never does." "Stop talking." Marcus's voice cracked, and Margaret saw the tears he was fighting back. "Just stop." Behind her overturned wheelchair lay a broken chair leg, probably fallen from some discarded furniture in the garage. Margaret's eyes fixed on it, but not as a weapon. Instead, she saw possibility. "Marcus," she said, slowly reaching for the wooden piece. His friends tensed, ready to run, but Margaret's movements were deliberate and unthreatening. She used the chair leg as support to pull herself up to a sitting position against a concrete pillar. "My daughter was about your age when she started getting into trouble," Margaret continued, her voice carrying across the empty garage. "She was angry too, mad at the world, mad at me, mad at her father who'd left us when she was 12. Marcus had gone completely still. His friends were shifting nervously, but something in Margaret's tone held him captive. She fell in with the wrong crowd, started stealing, fighting. "I was working 2 jobs, trying to keep our lights on, and I felt like I was losing her." Margaret's voice grew thick with emotion. "One night, She came home with a black eye and blood on her knuckles. She'd beaten up some girl at school, taken her lunch money. So what? Marcus said, but he was listening intently. So I sat her down and asked her the same thing I'm asking you. What happened to you? What hurt you so bad that you think you have to hurt others? The garage had gone completely quiet except for the distant hum of hospital machinery and the soft whistle of wind through the concrete structure. She told me about the kids at school who made fun of her second-hand clothes, about feeling invisible, about being so angry she could barely breathe some days. And you know what I realized? She wasn't a bad kid. She was a hurt kid who didn't know how to ask for help. Marcus wiped his nose with the back of his hand. What happened to her? She's Dr. Sarah Thomas now, chief resident in emergency medicine at Boston General. She spends her days saving lives because Sammy took the time to show her that her life mattered. One of Marcus's friends, the thin boy who'd been eyeing the exit, spoke up for the first time. Nobody ever showed us that. Margaret's heart broke a little more. What's your name, honey? Devin. And you? She looked at the third boy, shorter than the others with a defiant set to his jaw that couldn't quite hide his youth. Jalen. Marcus. Devin. Jalen. Margaret said their names like a prayer. I see you. I see three boys who are smart enough to stick together, brave enough to survive whatever brought you to this moment, and strong enough to choose differently. You're just saying that cause you're scared, Devin said, but there was no conviction in his voice. I am scared, Margaret admitted, but not of you. I'm scared for you, because I know where this path leads, and it doesn't lead anywhere good. She shifted against the pillar, still clutching the chair leg for support. You want to know something? This wheelchair I use, it's because I was trying to help someone. 2 years ago, a patient's family member was having a breakdown in the parking lot. His little girl had just been diagnosed with leukemia. He was so upset he was about to drive home drunk. I tried to stop him, got behind his car. He backed up too fast and, she gestured to her legs. That's messed up, Jalen said quietly. You know what though? I'd do it again, because that little girl she's in remission now. Her daddy got the help he needed. And every day I see her smile, I know it was worth it. Marcus was crying now, trying to hide it but failing. Why are you being nice to us? We hurt you. Because somebody has to break the cycle, Margaret said simply. Hurt people, but healed people heal people. And I believe you three can be healers. Devin stepped forward hesitantly. We didn't mean to. I mean, we're just hungry. We ain't eaten in 2 days. Margaret's nurse's heart went into overdrive. Where are your families? Foster care, Marcus said. All three of us. Same house. But Mr. Patterson. He trailed off, but Margaret understood. She'd seen too many children slip through the cracks of a broken system. Listen to me, Margaret said, using the chair leg to help herself stand straighter. I can't fix everything that's happened to you, but I can help you figure out what happens next. She reached into her medical bag, which had spilled when she fell, and pulled out her phone. I'm going to call someone. Her name is Linda Rodriguez, and she's a social worker here at the hospital. She helped my daughter when we needed it. She can help you too. What if we don't want help? Marcus asked, but the fight had gone out of him. Then I'll respect the choice, Margaret said. But I'm also going to give you something. She reached into her wallet and pulled out a business card and a $20 bill. This is my card. My cell number's on the back. If you ever need someone to talk to, someone to just listen, you call me, day or night. She held out the money. And this is for food. Real food, not drugs, not weapons. Food. Marcus stared at the money like it might bite him. Why would you trust us? Because someone trusted me once when I didn't deserve it, Margaret said. My nursing instructor, Mrs. Garcia. I was failing out of school, working nights at a diner, sleeping in my car sometimes. She could have written me off. Instead, she saw something in me I couldn't see in myself. Devin reached out tentatively and took the money. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, Margaret said with a small smile. Thank me by proving that my faith in you isn't misplaced. As she spoke, the sound of footsteps echoed through the garage. A security guard was making his rounds, flashlight beams sweeping across the concrete. The three boys tensed, ready to run. Hey! The guard called out, having spotted them. What's going on here? Margaret made a decision that would change 4 lives forever. It's okay, Tom, she called out, recognizing the guard from his frequent visits to the pediatric ward. "These are my friends. We were just talking." Tom approached cautiously, taking in the scene of Margaret's disheveled appearance, her overturned wheelchair, the three teenagers who looked ready to bolt. "You sure everything's all right, Nurse Thomas?" "Everything's fine," Margaret said firmly. "Actually, could you help me get back in my chair? I took a bit of a tumble." Marcus stepped forward before Tom could respond. "I got it," he said quietly. With surprising gentleness, he and Devin righted the wheelchair while Jalen gathered the scattered medical supplies. "Thank you," Margaret said as Marcus helped her transfer from the pillar to her chair. His touch was careful, respectful of the touch of someone who understood vulnerability. Tom watched the interaction with obvious confusion but didn't press. "Well, if you're sure." "I'm sure," Margaret said. "Have a good night, Tom." After the guard left, the four of them stood in awkward silence for a moment. "So what now?" Jalen asked. Margaret pulled out her phone. "Now I call Linda, but first, I need to know, are you ready to try something different?" The three boys looked at each other, having one of those wordless conversations that happen between people who've been through hell together. "What would we have to do?" Marcus asked. "Show up," Margaret said simply. "To appointments, to school, to your own life. It won't be easy. There'll be setbacks, bad days, times when it feels impossible. But you won't be alone. And if we mess up, then we try again." That's what people do, they try again. 6 months later, Margaret was sitting in the hospital cafeteria when three familiar figures approached her table. Marcus had grown 2 inches and gained 20 pounds. Devin's hollow cheeks had filled out, and there was light in his eyes that hadn't been there before. Jalen carried a backpack full of schoolbooks and wore a Letterman jacket from the community college where he was studying automotive repair. "Hey, Nurse Thomas," Marcus said, his voice deeper now, more confident. "Hey yourself," Margaret replied, smiling. "How are my boys doing?" "Good," Devin said, settling into a chair beside her. "Really good. I got into the GED program you told me about, and I made the honor roll," Jalen added proudly. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. "I'm so proud of you all." "We brought you something," Marcus said, pulling a wooden object from behind his back. It was a small carved plaque that read, "For Nurse Thomas, who showed us that broken things can be beautiful." "We made it in woodshop class," Devin explained. "Marcus did most of the carving. He's got good hands." Margaret turned the plaque over in her hands, tracing the careful woodwork with her fingers. "It's perfect." "Thank you." "We also wanted to tell you something," Marcus said, his voice growing serious. "We've been talking to other kids in the system, kids like us, and we want to help them too." Linda said she could use volunteers for her program. Jalen added, "Kids who've been there, who know what it's like." Margaret felt her heart swell with pride. "You know what this means, don't you?" "What?" Devin asked. "It means you're not just survivors anymore, you're healers." As she watched the three young men walk away toward their classes, their futures, their hope, Margaret thought about the broken chair leg that still sat on her desk at home. She kept it as a reminder that sometimes the things that seem broken are exactly what we need to help us stand up. The truth was, that night in the parking garage, they'd all been broken. 3 boys who'd been failed by every system meant to protect them, and a nurse who'd forgotten that healing wasn't just about fixing others, so sometimes it was about letting yourself be fixed too. Margaret had spent her career mending bodies and hearts, but those 3 boys had mended something in her she hadn't even realized was broken. They'd reminded her why she'd become a nurse in the first place, not just to heal, but to see the humanity in everyone, even in their darkest moments. Especially in their darkest moments. Because sometimes, when bullies knock you down, the most powerful thing you can do is get back up, and not with anger or vengeance, but with love. And sometimes, a broken chair leg isn't a weapon at all. Sometimes it's exactly the support you need to stand tall enough to lift others up with you.